was one of the first times I did a multi-scale. And I showed my mom this guitar, and she, yeah, that's real nice. I like it. Then she was like, do you know the frets aren't straight?
Yeah. Excellent.
Wow.
Out of interest, you said you were at the neck carving stage. Does that mean you always do things in the same order when you're making?
Yeah, good question. Probably for the neck, I was talking to someone else about this the other day. So the neck, probably the neck sequence, it has been the same. Like I'm trying to think of the order now. Right, yeah. So attaching, like the process of attaching the fretboard, then radiusing the fretboard when it's already on the neck. Polishing, installing the frets before I then carve the neck. So that process, probably the last. Actually, the last 5 builds. Sort of once I've sort of hit my stride with it. The next, it probably is the same process for me. I kind of like you're doing all the fretboard radiusing and the fret installation. I really like having that flat back of the neck. So when you bang, I don't have a fret press. That's all by hand. So I just kind of like that the whole neck blank is solid when you're putting all that in, just so you can get them in as tight as possible. And I sort of probably go when I'm sort of doing the body work backwards and forwards between what I want to sort of do. So often I'll do the neck. I've predominantly done bolt-on neck guitars, so I normally do the neck pocket before I've carved the back of the neck. So that's what I did before the carving, because then I just like knowing I can run 2 straight edges along all the side of the neck, and I know that I haven't changed it or with the carve on the back has sort of interfered with anything. So often, like some of the builds I'll get the whole neck done before even doing a lot on the body, but often it's when I go between the neck and the body, it's kind of like often it's what I don't want to do. Next is like I can't be bothered, radiusing and setting that fretboard. I'm going to go and do some work on the body for the next few weekends. So that's where my decision making comes in for the next step. If it's not like a crucial step or an order that I really like, it comes down to often avoiding the things that I don't want to do.
Oh yeah, I'm exactly the same. Do what you feel like doing that day sometimes.
Yeah, but some of those tasks you never really feel like doing.
In fact, when you see the video of how I thickness this neck circular saw, I was like, I'm not going to use a Shinto rasp for all of that material. So set a depth stop on a circular saw and just cut loads of lines and then went diagonals and then took the last bit off.
For me, like if I just build it the way I want, I build really big necks. Like I love like the old 52U like Telecaster chunky baseball back necks. Those are my favorite. And if someone leaves me to myself to do it, that's what they're going to get.
I don't really notice when people ask me to make guitars, them being too concerned about, like, no one ever says to me, really, I want this particular fretboard radius. They often say I want a thin neck, but they never mention the radius. But they often talk about the pickups they want for their style of music. So
I bet most guitarists have no idea that the fretboard is radiused.
It's just like the compound radius where everyone, that there for a while, that was all anybody wanted. And no one could ever tell me why they wanted it.
Yeah.
I think most just want as many bells and whistles as possible.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think neck carving, it always, I'm really apprehensive. Once I start carving the neck, I really enjoy it. But it seems strange to me that it's almost the first stages are the most nervous for me when you sort of mark it all up and you're taking the Shinto rasp to it and all the aggressive stuff that because when you think about as a guitar player, the neck is such a fine-tuned part of it, and I always feel really nervous when I'm just hogging away in those first steps. It's like, have I measured this right? Am I going too deep? Am I, I'm putting gouges in that when I get it to the fine level that those gouges are going to be below the level of what I want. So it's kind of like, I reckon I'm the opposite sometimes. It's the early stages of carving that I get really nervous. And then when I get to the finer stages, I'm kind of a bit more relaxed, and that's the therapeutic part, I think.
I've noticed recently, carving seems to just go by. I like to, despite the fact that it's multi-laminate and the chances of that thing moving are slim to none, I like to get the initial facets done super soon,
Yep.
before the fretboard even goes on.
Yep.
So you still got a flat, surface to clamp to, but you've removed as much as possible. So if it does want to move, it'll do what it'll do. Once that's done, when it comes time to actually do the carve, I mean, it really takes very little work. It just goes by. Just recently, I've noticed it just seems to, it used to be a big deal, and now you cut it up into two different pieces, and I mean, it just flies by.